I am really excited about today's episode. This is something that I've wanted to talk about for a long time because it affects me just as much as it affects you guys. Are you strangling your career? Are you holding on too tightly? You might not be getting and achieving the success that you're trying because maybe, just maybe, you're trying too hard. We're going to talk about that, so much more, and we'll be dipping into the mailbag and answering a question from one of you on today's episode of the Steve Freeman Podcast.
You're listening to the Steve Freeman Podcast, the real, raw truth about the pursuit of success in music, business, and life. Here's your host, hit songwriter, multi-platinum selling producer, and serial entrepreneur, Steve Freeman.
I love that Steve tells the truth. I do. He doesn't just say what you want to hear. I'm the type of person that needs to hear it the way he tells it. You have to put in the work. Love this podcast. It confirms what I've known deep down. That comes from Sorry Musicians on Apple Podcast. Thank you for rating us 5 stars and leaving a written review. If you would like to have your review featured here on the podcast, all you got to do is leave one. So go over to Apple Podcast, iTunes, rate us 5 stars. Just like Sorry Musicians, rate us those 5 stars and leave a written review. All the links to social media, if you want to follow me on social media, they can be found in the show notes. It's at the Steve Freeman everywhere. Also, if you would like to leave me a voicemail, we're going to feature them here on the podcast. We did one a couple of days ago or a couple of weeks ago. Go to thestevefreeman.com. There's a little thing on the right-hand side of the screen for those of you watching on YouTube. It appears about right there. Those of you listening to the audio have no idea what I'm talking about. Those of you on YouTube, you can see it. It's about right here on the site. And it says, leave me a voicemail. You can ask me a question. I'll feature the audio right here on the podcast. If you'd like to promote yourself, your music, what it is you do, your social media, leave all that in there. I'm not going to edit them. I'm just going to play them. And then I'll answer your question or address your comment. You can find that at thestevefreeman.com. There's also a link in the show notes. A lot of you, I have to apologize. This was totally my fault. We have the new Steve Freeman Podcast Facebook group. It's a private group. And I was like, this is weird. I keep getting all these things that so-and-so and so, and all these people are requesting to join the private Facebook group. And every time I would click on it, it would say there are no requests. Well, I forgot that my personal profile is the moderator of the page. So I finally this morning logged in and I approved there was 29, 30, 40 of you guys. So please join the group. I swear to God, I will approve you to join the group. Because we had an issue last week, please guys, make sure if you want to engage with me and on social media, I am all for it. But please make sure that you are actually engaging with me. I will never send you guys a DM on Facebook or Instagram or any other social media platform and ask you for money. I will never ask you to donate to something unless it's coming directly from me. And usually when I do that, it's a video, so you know that it's me talking. We had an issue last week of a fake account actually taking a deposit from somebody for me for it wasn't me, but to produce a record for somebody, and we're trying to get all of that worked out. My Instagram profile is verified. My Facebook profile is verified. So if it doesn't have the little blue check mark, it is not me. It's not me messaging you. It's not me communicating with you. So please make sure that if you're engaging with me, the account has the blue check mark, that it's verified. That way there are no misunderstandings and you know that you are dealing with me or you're speaking with me. Very important. There are a lot of fucking scammers out there, guys. A lot of people don't want to put in the hard work. They just want to do the easy thing, make the easy buck, and in the process, a lot of people end up getting hurt. So please just make sure that you're dealing with the real me. Also, I've had several of you inquire about the Music Business Mindset Mentorship Program. It is kicking off tomorrow. Well, no, I guess I have no fucking clue when this episode's airing. I think it's available now because the other day it was the 31st. So we're already in September now. So go check it out. Go to thestevefreeman.com right there in the banner. I'm going to choose 5 people that I'm going to work with one-on-one for the next 90 days. The next 3 months, I'm going to help you develop a strategy. I'm going to help you set your goals. I'm going to tell you how to achieve them. And I'm going to hold you to the success that I know you can achieve with the hard work. So if you want to work with me one-on-one for the next 90 days, go check that out. And if you get there by the time this airs and it's closed, I apologize. We're going to pick another 5 people in 3 months from now in 90 days. So there you have it. On to today's topic. I see this so often, and I want to preface anything and everything that I'm going to say in this episode by saying that I'm just as guilty of this as everybody else. Actually, in all honesty, probably more guilty because I tend to hold on very tightly. I will, when I have an idea or I have a goal, I am very guilty of just absolutely grabbing it by the throat and strangling it. Do you guys do that? I have a feeling that you do. We get so focused on what it is that we're trying to achieve that I think sometimes we smother it a little bit. And just like anything else that you smother or you strangle, if it's not allowed to breathe, it's not allowed to live. And that means it's not allowed to grow. How many of us out there are strangling our goals, our dreams, our career paths? How many of us are strangling them to death and not allowing them to breathe? I want to talk about some ways today that maybe you can let go just a little bit. One of those ways is you need to learn how it is that you cling. One of the things that I know that I've done in the past, I find myself doing this sometimes. I don't know about you, but do you often repeatedly find yourself seeking the reassurance of your value? This is one of the ways that we, it's like as creatives, this is very difficult because we create, yes, for ourselves, but oftentimes the gratification that comes along with the creations that we're making are often felt through the validity of what we feel it has impacted or what it means to somebody else. You know, if you're a songwriter and you write a song and you play it for somebody and you don't get the reaction that you're wanting, it crushes you a little bit. So what we tend to do in that case is we go back to work at it and we strangle it to death. And we oftentimes we blame ourselves, but we also blame the product of what we've created, that it's somehow not good enough. There is no need for you to constantly need the reassurance of other people. If there's one thing that I've learned in this business, for every 5, 10, 15 people that don't like something you do, there are 500 other people out there who are going to love it. I think a lot of the times we put too much emphasis and we place way too much value in the opinion of other people and the acceptance of other people. What is so-and-so going to think about this? Are they going to love it? Are they going to love it as much as I do? One of the things you can do to help yourself with this is realize that nobody is going to love what it is you're creating more than you do. Those of you, I have 2 kids. I have a 17-year-old and a 13-year-old. There is nobody on the face of this planet that loves those kids more than I do. It's impossible. Well, their mother. But nobody. Their grandparents love them, but they don't love them like I love them. And we've often said our songs, the videos that we make on YouTube, the things that we're creating, they are our children. So immediately when you take these things and you thrust them out there in front of people and you are imposing your expectation on them, when we don't get that result, we don't get that feedback that shows us that they love this just as much as we do, then we get down, we get depressed, we get disappointed because we constantly need that reassurance of value from other people. And as long as you put that in somebody else's hands, you're doing 2 things. One, you're giving them an extreme amount of power over you. And 2, you're allowing them to ultimately control you and your destiny. Because if you put something out there in somebody, you don't get the reaction that you hope for. You've now given that person the power of setting the direction and the tone about where you go from here. Because not a lot of people can take negative feedback, or a lot of times it doesn't even have to be negative. It can just be unenthusiastic, because when we create something, we're very enthusiastic about it. Come look at this. Oh, let me show you this. This is so cool. Look at this. And then you don't get that reaction. And then it's like, well, okay, is it really that cool? I mean, so-and-so didn't like it. You know, my best friend didn't like it. You're giving them an extreme amount of power over you, over your mood, over future creations, over how you feel about yourself, your mental health. I mean, mental health is a big thing right now. Everybody's talking about mental health. And I could go on about mental health. Is it important? It is important. But I am one of these people that happen to believe that I'm kind of in control of my mental health. I think people that do have, and I'm not talking clinical, physical mental health issues. Yes, there are people that have mental health issues. I think 80% of what's going on in our society right now with mental health is self-imposed. And I think a lot of that comes from we place too much value on the reassurance of others. We place too much value and importance and giving that power over to other people, so that when we don't get the result that we want, when they don't seem as enthusiastic about whatever it is as we do, then that affects our mental health, because we've given the power and the control over to somebody else. So it's not that we really have mental health issues. We have issues with how to prioritize and our expectation level of what we place in front of other people. We hold on again, that thing, that little delivery. It's like this cup of coffee. It's like, I made this cup of coffee and it's really good. I'm very proud of it. I took time, effort. I have just the amount of caramel macchiato creamer in here that's 0 sugar, by the way. I have just enough in here because it tastes perfect to me. But if I take this and I hand it over and I hand it to a friend and they taste it and they don't like it, does that mean it's still not right for me? We forget that what really matters is what tastes good to us. Speaking of, if I like it, if it tastes good to me, if it's made to my specifications, why the fuck do I give the power and control to somebody else to tell me that it's not good, that it doesn't meet their standard? We also need to understand that there's 2 sides of this coin. The other side of this coin is that a lot of times, the person that I might hand this to, I might hand it to and they absolutely love it. But the last thing in the fucking world they're going to let me know is that I make a better cup of coffee than they do. Which also very negatively affects your mental health, because now you've given the control and the power over to somebody who does not have your best interest at heart and just doesn't want to see you succeed more than they do. We talked about this in the episode the other day about your circle. Think about that in this context. If you have your circle and it's comprised of people who just won't admit that that's a great damn cup of coffee because you made it and they didn't, there's a lot of that goes on, and then we wonder why we have mental health issues. Maybe we have mental health issues largely because we're placing too much importance on the opinion of other people. We are giving them too much power and control because we feed off of their reassurance. We feed off of their praise, because that's the drug, folks. When you talk about the entertainment business and you talk about the music business and the movie business and all this other stuff, even down to just being a content creator, creating content for YouTube, it's that adoration of others that we seek. Nobody ever sat down at a piano and started playing as a kid or picked up a guitar because they had a passion for it. Because at that level, you don't know that you have a passion for it. You picked it up, guys picked it up because they wanted girls, because girls like the guys that could play guitar and sing. That's why you did it, because you want the praise and adoration and acceptance of others. When we do that, though, we tend to smother the creation. We want to form it and mold it exactly into what other people will accept instead of the product that we will be happy with. Another thing is stop idealizing. I read this and I thought this was interesting. People who hold on too tightly often do so based on the belief that the other thing is the only thing that can make them successful or understand them or fulfill them. This is a big one. I hear this a lot from songwriters and aspiring artists. I hear it a lot. They think that this is the only thing there is. So when you're not seeing that immediate success that you want, or you're not feeling that immediate growth that you really want to have, you've put everything behind it. So when that's not working out, you start having issues. Sometimes, just like we do with these people I was talking about, we actually put those same restrictions and expectations on the creation itself or on our career. We get to thinking that and focused and smothering our goals so badly because we're pressuring them into making everything that we want to come true. We've idealized. I want to read that again because I think it's very powerful. People who hold on too tightly often do so based on their belief that the other thing is the only thing that can understand them and get through to them. It's the only thing of value. It's the only thing that can fulfill them. That's one of the words that it uses in there that I think is brilliant, because one of the things, especially with mental health, one of the things people use, I'm not fulfilled. Well, what are the things that you are expecting to fulfill you? What are those things? Are you trying to? There are other things in life, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, and I tell people that all the time. We've somehow and I have nothing against the guy, I love him to death, but in the Gary V world that we live in now, what's wrong? What's wrong with having a plan B? You know, we're told you have a plan A and it's up to you, and it's you can make plan A succeed or you're going to be the cause of plan A to fail. Whatever happened? What's wrong with having a plan B or a plan C? None of us are in 100% complete control of our destiny, of our future. Now, maybe the next, 30 seconds, I'm in control of. I can mute this microphone. I can change this screen. I can take a sip of my coffee if I want it. I can pick up my phone if I want it. But none of those things right there are going to affect the next 30 minutes. None of those things are going to affect tomorrow, next month, next year. Because we do have these circles we've talked about, because we do go out into public, hopefully we're not in lockdown anymore. We do have the influence of other things and outside things and people and organizations and influences and attitudes. All of those things affect us. I don't see what the problem is, why so many people don't have a plan B. A lot of artists come to me and they're like, this is it. This is my life. This is what I'm going to do. And, I'm seen as the bad guy a lot of times when I say, what if that doesn't work? What then? What are you going to do? And it's like a deer in headlights. Or, how dare you? Do you think I'm not good enough to achieve plan A? No, I'm not saying that at all. I want you to achieve your ultimate goal. But let's say that you don't. Or worst case scenario, if you get halfway there, how do you feel about that? Are you prepared to get halfway there and make a life out of getting halfway to your goal? It doesn't mean that you quit. But But a lot of things are just predetermined. Sometimes it's just not what was meant for you. And, you could take that to a spiritual level if you want, but I've had that happen in my career. I pushed something up a mountain. I was pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And then you finally realize that it's not because I'm not pushing hard enough. I'm just pushing up the wrong mountain. It's just too steep. And there's nothing wrong with admitting that your mountain or this mountain is too steep. It doesn't mean that you're not pushing hard enough. It doesn't mean that you're not pulling hard enough. And in the context of what we're talking about today, you might be pushing too hard. You might be pulling too hard. And you're wearing yourself out in the process. Again, stop giving other people this power. Remember that no one else or no one should be allowed to manage your feelings and your happiness but you. I think back to that movie that was made in I think it was the 70s with John Travolta, the boy in the bubble. But it's funny because it relates to this so well. And it's a philosophy that I have adopted into my own life. And that is, to a certain extent, I'm the guy in the bubble. I determine what comes into that bubble. It's like that door locks from the inside. You can't just walk up. You may have the key. You may have anything you need, but you can't get to it because that key, that lock is on the inside of this door. So I determine what gets in and I determine what gets out. Too often times I see that in reverse with creative people and with business owners. Because you're led to believe that it needs to be an open door. Anybody, I don't want to hold myself back. I'm afraid that if I lock my door from the inside, somebody that was supposed to get in is not going to be able to get in. I might not be able to reach that opportunity. I'm telling you the opposite is true. Because I operated that way for many, many, many years. And all I did was get used, get taken advantage of. And when I looked around, I realized there were so many people in my bubble that weren't doing anything but occupying space in my bubble, and it was making it hard for me to breathe. They were bringing in all kinds of toxins, all kinds of disease and dirtiness, and they weren't washing their hands. It was getting dirty up in my bubble. So I changed the door, and I made it to where it locks from the inside. So I'm the one that can determine who gets in. And quite honestly, you have to earn your way into my fucking bubble. I'm not letting you in on your merit alone. I'm not letting you in on your word because words are cheap. Actions speak louder than words. Show me why you deserve to be in my bubble. Prove to me why you deserve to be in my bubble and breathe my extremely clean air because I'm the one in here with the filtration system and it's really good in here. The air's really good in here. The coffee's really good in here, but you're not going to get any of it until you can prove to me that you deserve to be in here. I think if you would adopt that philosophy and stop thinking that your bubble needs to have an open door policy that anybody can come in and anybody can go out, and it's just one big, free, everybody love everybody, and we're all going to get along. You're being too trusting of people. You are the one responsible for your feelings. You are the one responsible for your happiness. This also has to do with career choice. It has to do with what you're doing for a living and what your goals are. These don't have to be people that are out here wanting into your circle, into your bubble. It can be songwriting. You've just left that door open because you want songwriting to come in and be in your bubble. You've left that door open because you want being a successful YouTuber and having a great YouTube channel. You want that to be able to float into your bubble at any time. But as long as that door stays open, sometimes songwriting, sometimes being a successful YouTuber, sometimes being a great graphic design artist, sometimes starting a podcast, sometimes starting a business brings in toxins that are not healthy for you. Because you end up idolizing those things and you end up giving those things way too much power, way too much control over your happiness, over being fulfilled. I think another thing, too, I want to talk about is recognizing that you can actually learn. a lot of you, I think I've said this before, but I've had a few meetings over my career where an artist either wanted me to work with them, or back when we had our record label, we would take meetings with artists that wanted us to sign them to the record label and or publishing company. And these artists would walk in, and the first 45 minutes to an hour of this meeting is basically them telling us every reason in the world why they don't need us as their record label. Well, I've got this friend that does this. I've got a buddy, he does social media. He's got 1 million followers, and we're going to put this single out, and at least 50% of those people are going to go stream it, and probably 200,000 of them are going to go buy it. And I've got this publicist over here that's doing this. And then inevitably, at the end of that, their 45-minute monologue, I just look at them and go, then why are you here? Why do you need me? If you've got all of these things, then why do you need me? There is a value in learning and being educated. A lot of you are relying on other people. Now, I will be honest with you, a lot of these artists, they believe all of that stuff. They believe when they have associated with this person and this person that they are going to do all of these amazing things that these people tell them they're going to do. They believe them. Why? Because they have an open door policy to their bubble. They let these people in, they get them pumped up, they get them excited, and they actually authentically really believe them. Very rarely is it the truth. So my question at the end is always, then why do you need me? You need to educate yourself and stop relying on other people. The more you know how to do, the more you know how to execute. Remember, because your happiness and being fulfilled and your satisfaction relies on you and should not lie with anybody else. So that being said, you need to know how to do all of these other things so that you're not relying on other people to fill those roles. When you are the only one to blame, when the person you get up and you look at every day in the mirror is the only one to blame, then it securely rests on your shoulders. And it is well within your power to educate yourself to the level to where you don't need to rely on these other people. You don't have to have that open door in your bubble. You really only need you. And then you can be selective as to who comes in. You can be selective. You can allow people. Now, here's a new concept. You can allow people to prove their worthiness. I don't know where we started and where and when we got to this thing that all people are just good people. All people are not good people. All people do not have good intentions. I don't know why we stopped making people earn their positions in our lives. Why are we so readily willing to give everybody the benefit of the doubt? I know what it does it to you. I'm going to ask, see if this is this way for you. I know that I've operated that way, but I also know that it never works that way in between. I'm constantly having to prove myself. I don't understand why it always falls to me. And I bet a lot of you are in that situation too, where you've allowed all these other people in. You allow all these other people to do their thing and tell you what they think and what they feel and valuing their opinion. But somehow when that shoe's on the other foot, you have to qualify why you think what you think. And you have to constantly sell yourself and you have to constantly prove yourself. The reason is because these other people over here, they've done what I've done. And they've put that lock to that door to their bubble on the inside. You need to do the same thing. I think another thing that you can do is take some time away. I had a complete podcast episode on this maybe a month or two ago. If you've got your hands around the neck of your goals and your achievements and your aspirations and your dreams, let them go. Let them breathe. Because it takes a lot of energy to strangle something, to smother something. It takes a lot of energy. Give both of you a break. Allow both of you to take a breather. It's going to be valuable to you. It's going to be valuable to whatever it is that you're currently smothering, whether it's your career goals, whether it's your dreams, aspirations, doesn't matter. Your business. Let it go. You've got to have some time for yourself away from all of these other things. You cannot just wake up every day and walk around, and everywhere you go, you are just strangling and smothering the shit out of your career, out of other people. Let it go. Find some time for yourself. Find some value for yourself in something other than that, than this thing, whatever it is. Don't be so obsessive. And it's hard because it is our primary goal. It's our primary focus. It's the main thing that we feel like we get up every day to try to achieve, to kick that ball a little bit further down the field. 5 yards, 10 yards, 15 yards. We just feel as long as we make some positive momentum today. When maybe if you just took some time away, stepped away for a little bit, and enjoyed something other than. Guys, I'm talking as much to myself as I am to you guys. I just got back the other day from Los Angeles. And I was thinking on the plane ride back from LA that I was getting back at like midnight on Friday night. And I thought, you know what? This weekend, I'm just going to relax. I'm not going to work. I'm not going to think about podcasts. I'm not going to think about what I need to do for this artist or the management company. I might just turn my phone off. I've got 2 phones. I might actually turn both of them off and just be unattainable for once and take some time for me just to relax, just to recalibrate, maybe do some thinking and maybe not think at all. Maybe just watch something on Netflix, watch a new series, just take my mind completely off of it. And I was telling this to myself and selling myself on this whole idea, the entire 4-hour flight from Los Angeles to Nashville. But I didn't do it. I got up the next day, took all the phone calls, started working on this, working on that, planning this, and I ended up working the entire weekend like I always do. So I am trying to take to heart just as much of what because this is important, guys. This is important. We've got to allow our dreams and aspirations and our careers to breathe. And the only way we can do that is to physically take our hands from around its neck. We're strangling it. I would encourage you guys to make more decisions on your own. Stop relying on so many other people. And stop trying to generate more. This is one that I'm guilty of. I am so guilty of this, it's not even funny. We feel like when we start getting down the road a bit and we start making a little bit of progress, that it's time to add more. And we just add more and we add more and we add more and we add more until we're strangling 33 things. And there's just no way. There's no way for us to balance all of that. There's no way to get it all done. There's no way to make everybody happy. There's no way to make yourself happy. Or we were talking earlier about feeling fulfilled. There's no way possible for you to feel fulfilled when your expectation is these 50 things you've got going on, all going right and all working at the same time, and everything is moving along. There's no room for failure. How in the world are we supposed to be fulfilled when we keep trying to get more and more and more and add on more responsibility and do more things? I'm in that boat with you guys. I'm weighing that boat down seriously. And it's something that I've got to stop and think about. Just like I'm asking you guys to stop and think about it, I've got to stop and think about it too. Because I keep adding more cargo to my plane, and my plane is getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And every day, that plane gets harder and harder to get off the ground. I can feel it because I'm the one flying it. One of these days, it's not going to get off the ground. And the only thing worse at being unsuccessful or failing at one thing is being unsuccessful and failing at 100. Because it's much easier. You don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. We don't have enough time to do all of these things. But I think the ultimate reason that we smother, that we hold on too tightly, that we strangle, is because we are afraid of losing that thing, whatever it is. We are possessive. We're jealous. We strangle. We hold on to because we're afraid of losing the thing. But here's the thing, in all honesty. Most of the time, those fears aren't based in reality. When you have that fear of losing something, it can lead you to hold on even more tightly and to give more weight and need more reassurance from other people, which means you're giving them more power and more control. You need that evidence that what you're doing is right. You're afraid of losing it, so you're constantly in search of that reassurance. And the same thing can be said for relationships. I remember back when my wife and I first met, I was an extremely jealous person. Like, probably, in all honesty, borderline abusive, if I'm being 100% honest. I was just very possessive, very jealous, smothering, strangling. And I was that way for a long time until I realized that was it hurting our relationship? Yeah. Was it hurting her? Yes, it was. But really, in all honesty, I'm the one that was suffering the most. It took more energy to strangle that relationship. It took more passion, more time, more of my energy, more of the space in my head, more thought process. It took way more from me than it did anybody else. And at the end of the day, I'm the only one that was really, truly hurting. I'm the one that it affected the most. And I realized that it wasn't worth it. There's no difference. You know, at some point you realize, what was that old saying? You set the bird go. If it comes back, it was meant to be. Okay, it's kind of fucking stupid. But it's kind of also the truth. Stop being afraid to lose that thing. Because it may not have meant to be. That's one thing you don't have control over. It's okay to let go. More importantly, out of all of these things that we've talked about, I think the most important thing is to not place so much value of your mental health, of your well-being, of your self-esteem. Stop giving so much power over to other people. Stop giving them that level of control over you, over what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and even just your mindset. You determine your steps. You determine your happiness. You're the one that should be determining whether or not you are fulfilled. Stop smothering and strangling your career. Stop smothering and strangling your creativity, your goals, your dreams, your aspirations. Let them breathe. That's going to do it for this episode, guys. Well, not quite. I said we were going to jump in the mailbag. I actually do have a question here. This comes from Deanne in Los Angeles. I want to start creating more content and love streaming, live streaming, and possibly even start a podcast. How much should I expect to spend on equipment to accomplish all of these goals? Deanne, thank you so much for the email. Listen, this is a mixed bag. What should you spend? What can you spend? In all honesty, you probably need to look at a lot of this stuff. If you want to do live streaming and you want to shoot videos, you want to do a podcast, you want to do all of this can be accomplished with a lot of the same equipment. So I tell people all the time, and even friends like James Otto and Rodney Adkins and a lot of other people, that when you want to get into this, you want to do this. I'm a huge Sony fan. I love the Sony a6400 cameras, the a6600. If you want to spend a little bit more money and have what I have, you can do like the A7 III or the A7S III, the new camera that came out. These are all DSLR cameras, mirrorless. You can get different lenses that kind of give you the depth of field and the effect that you really want. But You can use that for shooting your videos. You can use it for your live streams. You can use it for your podcast, all those different things. So you don't need 3 different things. You just need one really good camera, one really good lens, like a 10 to 18 or 12 to 24 millimeter lens to go with your camera. As far as the podcast, you can go. I know guys that do their podcast on their iPhone with earbuds. So, don't think that you've got to have the very best of everything, go out and spend all this money. But it is going to take some investment on your part. If you wanted me to put a dollar amount on it, I would say if you had $2,500 to dedicate towards putting into buying equipment that would allow you to start a great live stream, a great podcast, a great YouTube channel, and make very high quality content, if $2,500 will get you there. So I hope that answers your question, Deanne from LA. Thank you so much. If you've got a question, you can email me. You can do all that through the site, and I'll feature them right here on the podcast. Guys, don't forget everything you need to know, all the links. Follow me on social media at the Steve Freeman. Join the new Facebook group, the new Steve Freeman Podcast private Facebook group. The links are in the show notes, so you can find everything there. Don't forget, check out our sponsors, Performance Inspired Nutrition at pi-nutrition.com. Also, the Artist Development Academy at artistdevelopmentacademy.com. Guys, until the next episode, keep being creative, keep pressing the boundaries, and there's nothing wrong with being independent. See you in the next one.
Thanks for joining us for the Steve Freeman Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and follow Steve on social media at the Steve Freeman.